let me know because I'm not getting
Okay.
I haven't been getting any notification lately.
Okay, let me double check.
Nothing yet.
Okay, let me... Okay, it says live.
Hold on.
Yeah, just share now. Okay, so share that. I have to go.
Okay. No, wait, Erica. I can't find the live video here. Are you sure you started anything there? Erica? You have to approve my post though. I can't. I'm not an admin there. Erica?
What was
Erica?
that? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to approve my post on Facebook.
Oh, jeez. What? That's so weird. Okay. Darn it.
Okay, so I haven't shared the YouTube video though, link I mean, yet. So I'm going to do that in the second post, second post right now.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Can you check the dots now for just to make sure you can see the What's going on? Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
That was me talking in another video. You need to delete all the other videos, right, Erica?
Yeah. Take a moment. Hello, hello. Just online. Bunch of links.
You need to approve the other post now for YouTube.
Oh, I believe I
Erica?
posted the YouTube one already. Yeah, I believe I posted the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I didn't hear what you said, but I'm gonna say it again just in case. You need to approve the second post I just made right now for YouTube.
Yeah, but it's already up.
I didn't hear anything. Just yeah, and it broke
Yeah,
again.
the link for the YouTube is up on the event page now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm happy.
Great. And yeah, if you see on I'm sharing my screen right now, and this is some art done by Matthew Lancome, and he just finished today, and I'm so happy to have it. I think the vision quite well. It's really beautiful.
Nice.
Okay, and I'm just finishing up setting up over here, so we'll start in a couple minutes. It's too hard to have a camera up at me at the same time as much as I would love to be face to face. Maybe I'll just turn it on for a moment. But yeah, it seems like I just have to share my screen for most of the time. Still not working. There we go. Okay. Oh.
There we go.
That was a journey that you all have no idea about. Have decided to call live screaming because it's yeah, it's been quite difficult, and we were going to be doing this whole and just decided to just really simplify it because there's too many complications and it was lagging, and so I just wanted to test this right now. The video. Can I get some confirmations? Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. But like quality-wise, is it lagging? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to be.
It seems to be
pretty
lagging a
slow
little.
earlier. This was also kind of the worry about having too many people on the chat. At some point, I think during the presentation, if we turn off the cameras.
No, it's not you. It's
Yeah. Okay. So let's turn on our cameras until Q&A after I do the presentation. So you can turn off their cameras. That will help. And as well, just so that there's no background noises. Ziad, how are you doing?
I'm hearing you, but it's a bit broken though.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, right now it's fine.
Super laggy. Ziad, can you confirm that you can hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay, but you're about the only one I can hear right now. So all the other guys have their mics
I'll
turned
just turn
off
off my
apparently.
camera for now because it seems like the quality is not so good. But yeah, I got to see everybody's faces for a moment. That was really nice. And we'll try to reconnect for the Q&A. Yeah, so for now, if you could just turn off cameras and microphones until the presentation, that would be great, so that we could have the least amount of lag as possible. Just if if Ziad, I don't know, if Ziad is on, could you please confirm that you can hear me? If not,
I
somebody
can
else,
hear you.
please.
Everything fine here.
Ziad can hear you. Can you confirm you can hear Ziad?
Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? Can I get a confirmation, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can hear you, Erica.
Are you still there, Erika?
So who all can hear me?
Oh, and now I can hear you. You just came
Hi. Oh,
back online.
okay.
And you can
I
hear
can
me,
hear
I'm
you
guessing?
too.
Yeah, a bunch of
Okay.
people have been saying they can hear you, but it
Oh,
seems like you don't
geez.
hear anyone.
I'm the one that can't hear. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bye,
Well, I hear
everybody.
you clear. And wonderful. So I think we've got enough
Some of
people.
us,
We can kind of
some of
start.
us have been
Oh, go ahead.
confirming in the chat. You might want to open the chat.
Okay. So I'll have to be looking on YouTube chat and on Facebook chat. Oh, and then on Jitsi chat as well. Let's see. Ah,
Should we all
ah,
go to
yeah.
one chat?
I see the chat now. That's very, very helpful. Okay.
Should we all move to
So
one chat?
um I'm not sure. I think for so I'm gonna be just doing the presentation for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So everybody that's on here can just talk, and we can use like the raise your hand function on the. For me, it's on the lower left hand side. Just in case if there's a lot of people that want to talk on a certain subject, you can do that, and then so there'll be comments on YouTube and maybe on Facebook. So we'll try to be watching all of those as well. So, so yeah. So I'm just gonna share the. I love the comments. That's great. It's cracking me up. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen now, and I'll just go through. One moment. Okay, hopefully, geez, it's saying that it's not able to start screen sharing, so I'm gonna have to refresh the page and hopefully everything should stay the same. Okay. So I have not been able to do screen sharing at all, and I've tried to reset. So it looks like technology is not working today for whatever reason. So if nobody has any other ideas of how to share my screen and the presentation, then we might have to reschedule, unfortunately.
So you're
Yeah.
having issues doing the screen share to both YouTube
Mhm.
and Jitsi? Is that the problem?
No, just Jitsi.
Oh.
Yeah, it was working fine throughout all the test runs this morning, but yeah, for whatever reason, it's not up. I have Zoom, but well, actually, I might not have Zoom on this computer, actually. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to
well,
restart it one more time and hope that it will work. So I'll be right back. Yes, it worked. Okay, wonderful. And hopefully everybody can see the screen. Okay.
No, I can't see the screen. I can just see your avatar.
Okay. And it's, I'm sure it's minus, there should be a picture. Nobody sees a picture?
Yeah, there's a picture there for Common Heritage.
Great. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we will just move forward from there. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I'll talk for about 10 minutes and then we'll open it up for discussion. And then after we'll share the recording on the event page. So as you can see, I'm just one of you. I'm no one special. I don't even have the tech skills or anything. And I just want to put this idea on the table. It's just a rough draft and it still needs, contribution, love, and attention if anybody's interested in participating. So before I talk about the idea, I wanted to open up our circle, our conversation to the earth that sustains us, the animals who we share this earth with, our ancestors, those who fell victims to the current unjust system, struggles, our present relatives in the struggle, and who are pillars right now, and then also the future generations who's trying to save right now. It feels good to be in a space with everybody here. I'm so happy to see lots of familiar people and some new people coming. It feels good to be in a same room where we've all reached the conclusion that we need to transpose monetary society. So I'm glad we don't have to go through all of that. We can start a little bit further on the point. But just to be clear about what particulars, I'll be brief and share some main points. So the system that we're advocating for goes by many names, but hatches. It is trade-free, and that goes beyond moneyless. Submission of power, privacy, trading information, being advertised to. This borderless, holistic, transparent, and free of coercion. So the system can work by replacing a few key elements here. Replacing resource competition with resource sharing and collaboration, property with access to all, hierarchical authority with decentralized informed consensus, corporations and privatization with open sourcing, labor systems with automation and volunteers, globalization with localized production and distribution, and price simulation with network digital feed metrics, which means using technology to replace the functions of money, which are as a unit of exchange, unit of account, and storing value. So now we can move into how to get there by three main points here: coming together, staying together, and working together. The pure act of us coming together in vision at a critical point marks the beginning. And I'll break that down. The act of us coming together should be visible as well as what we're coming together for. So this is what Common Heritage and Life Counter was created for. The pledge is a personal agreement to adopt a new system. It was co-created by the community and by relating organizations, 13 of which have endorsed the pledge. The life counter would show how many people signed the pledge. So we'll finally be able to quantify arts and make critical mass visible. So that critical point that I just referenced is that of the survival of the human species, which is closely tied to how we respond to climate and economic problems in this next decade. And this is becoming more and more understood. It's literally now or never. And we have the vision, the knowledge, and the wisdom. And now this sense of urgency to help people put things in perspective and take a chance on something new. Staying together shows progress. To stay together, we need to build a strong, resilient community and have the necessary tools. To build a community, we need to be able to find each other first. We need virtual places together that are trade-free and lead to groups gathering locally. This can be achieved through the Commons, a social network project management site that allows individuals to share their lives, efforts, build friendship. It also allows organizations to have a sovereign space and tools to organize tasks and projects. It will help us feel the pulse of the movement with this data, and through something as simple as a map show where all post-monetary economies work. It's sure to be an inspiring sight to see as we grow, to watch that map fill out. Working together, we make epic things happen. We can do this by using a swarm organization that enables a large number of volunteers to cooperate on a common goal in quantities of possible without this framework. Empowering and supporting individuals to become leaders. It allows a constant flow of information and creation in the most time and effective and cost-effective way. Now let's go back to coming together, the pledge. The whole idea of this is based on the power of collective agreement. Each of us has an individual power to say yes, and when we put it together, it amplifies. After all, this is how currency functions, like works and is agreed upon. It's just not the people believing it. So we want to show this too through the first part is the declaration, support of our transition to a new system, what we want to replace in the system, and a pledge to volunteer after the transition. I declare Earth as the common heritage for all life. I support a global transition system based on science and the Earth's capacity to sustain us. Replacing petition, money, trade, and private property, which brings Earth's resources, services, technology, and knowledge. In the system, to voluntarily contribute my skills and motivation with my time and labor to serve what serves me, that fulfills my basic needs, and does not subjugate me in any way. I do this with the knowledge that others will too, and hereby affirm my commitment for co-creating the world for me and for all. And to clarify the part where it says common heritage, this is how it's means that the earth and its resources belong in common and equal measure to us all. The responsibility to share the environment fairly among all who are alive today. The responsibility to care for it wisely, ensuring that resources are held in trust for nations and are not claimed by individuals, corporations, or states. And the motto is, we celebrate, not protest. We create, not destroy. Food, not divide. We rise together for common heritage. So the goal of the pledge is to make critical mass visible, which is around 250 to 350 million people worldwide. This is the historical tipping point where an idea gets adopted by the masses. And so in order to do that, there's a few steps that I've outlined. But again, this is all a rough draft and just to kind of give us a section as we're doing all of this. So I'll bring that up just one moment. Okay. Can I get confirmation that you see this?
I can see you now.
Okay. Oh, not the screen again.
If you press D, it will shift to screen sharing automatically.
Oh, okay, great. That's really helpful. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Or still? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so it's just a little mind map we put together. This is the logo here. And this is a timeline. We've gone through the pledge counter website, the common site. And now to be able to, we activate local groups and perform acts of inspiration. We get local groups to get activated with the focus of envisioning their city in a post-monetary community. We organize a global nonviolent grassroots movements through Stormwise methods. We encourage everyone to commit to being the best versions of themselves, investing time, education, and growth, embodying the values they wish to see in the world by decolonizing and reprogramming ourselves, and extending our circle of compassion to include Earth, human, and non-human beings. We share the good news. So we're not protesting, we're not saying no necessarily, we're saying yes alongside that. So we're celebrating, we declare the world's resources as a common heritage of all human and non-human animals. We can all live, and it's possible right now. We compile a wide range of resources from books, documentaries, flyers, booklets, music, and art to inspire the world to choose for themselves what types of system they would like to see for their children. We perform small and large acts of inspiration. We must be represent solutions anywhere symptoms of the sick society are exposed. That means attending rallies, protests, and demonstrations, advocating for a post-monetary economy to create a world that doesn't need to be fought to be protected. Could you also remember, anybody watching this, to please mute your mics until the Q&A? Thanks. So we do this through massive acts of creative resistance, and we can try to slow down the violent state and share solutions to the angry and disillusioned. We meet war, solution with regeneration, hopelessness with hope, hate with love, inspiration and vision expressed through creation, painting, music, dance, film, because it changes people, and people change the world. So I believe that if we do all of those things, we will be able to hit critical mass. But like I said, this is all a rough timeline, but this is how it could possibly go. So once we know we have the numbers on the specifications for the systems, facility, and support systems that need to be present for the transition. This is just a quick overview of like an app to support people after transition to make sure that they can get to the things that they need in a really easy and clear fashion. So we get a framework and specifications ready for the facilities needed to house such an undertaking regionally and globally. So about regions like a physical place where the research teams could organize and communicate and work in place. We create an online, decentralized, and transparent platform where we can manage our physical and human resources. And that's the app that I just talked about. So decision-making, connection for housing, childcare, medical records, all of that are available in one place, including a calendar, community announcements, and news. And we'll need, in order for the transition to be as peaceful and possible, we also need people to support other people during the transition. So those volunteer positions that are open up, so they can be to get people into housing, rehabilitation counselors to help people acclimate, stewards, assisting with the rehabilitation of our ecosystem, animal placement. We're really excited about helping animals get care and support as close to their natural habitat as possible. All of this. So, yeah. Oops, I went too far. So after that, we compile our nominees for our research management team. We compile a list of our best, our brightest scientists, engineers, architects, and builders, technically oriented people to help account, design, and manage their resources in the most efficient and heart-centered ways. These are people that we nominate moderators for a global online forum where information is organized by fields where special people passionate about the subject who can share test results, unique insights, and solutions to make sure the most efficient methods are being used. We start a mass advertising campaign directed at police and military to support the transition and stand with people when the time comes. Easier said than done. We set a date for global celebration. We choose a date of transition. When everyone that has pledged will be notified to go to their city centers to celebrate the first day of the transition, inviting their families, neighbors, co-workers, police, military members to stand with them. Advertise this date as a public service announced every business, school, concert, and commercial. And we only do this when we know that we have the infrastructure in place to support such a transition. A building is used as a temporary global resource management facility where volunteers who have been nominated to moderate each of the 12 sectors come together. Smaller local groups will also be meeting in their city centers, communicating and getting support from the global team. The fully functioning app and access centers will be available to help every person find the resources they need or make requests the day after the transition. On that scheduled date, everyone that has pledged will be notified to go to their city centers to celebrate the first day of the transition, inviting their families, neighbors, co-workers, police, and military members to stand with them. We mark this transition by planting seeds of freedom and turning in all of our money to be repurposed for things that we actually need. And the following day, we just keep doing what we're doing, society function. Thanks for that, Steve Saylor. Yes. Okay, so that is the basic timeline. I wanted to share an image that I felt really expressed this vision and especially this first day of transition. And just switch the screen again. Yep, so there it is. Thank you, Matthew Lancome, for getting this image put together. It takes source from, inspired from Zeitgeist, like the little boy with his piggy bank, take it back, and to have like the hands put together for the logo of Common Heritage. And we're out in the streets, businesses are closed, and we're welcoming in a new world. That wraps it up for the presentation part. So now we can do it in a more discussion form. So if you want to get your mics back on, and yeah, share any comments, questions, feedbacks, and yeah, there's a lot of other details that I didn't put in, and so I can go further. But really, with any questions, I'm going to be brief about my answers because really it's all just it's like, how do I say that? Like, I'm just making a lot of assumptions and what ifs. So it's going to be pretty basic, but that's what, if we all come together, we can start figuring out a really more in-depth answers and solutions for those questions. But yeah, go ahead.
Erica, thank you for your
Yeah.
presentation. That's great. I just want to ask you, I don't have any specific questions for now. I do feel I would like to flow into a more of a general discussion. So maybe I'll wait with that until other people have asked their questions. If that's okay with you.
Sounds good. Yeah, and we can, that sounds great. And, through general discussion, I'm sure some of the questions will in there as well. So, yeah. Does anybody else like to share anything?
This is John Abbey. I'm with a group called Cooperation Eugene in Oregon. Leif Holt invited me to come to this. I'm glad I came. It's a beautiful vision. My question is, my question is if you drew on other similar visions like this, or just in general, what you're drawing on, what your greatest inspirations were.
I would say just pieces of different movements and initiatives, but nothing has really put all together. And so, but I think like the spirit of Standing Rock, and how the community came together, that was like really huge for me, and it really allowed me to see like the power of collective numbers, like 15, 20 people coming together, and that they all realized like each one was a piece of this network, and when we came together, we had a much stronger voice, and we got in multiple mainstream media and all that. So that was definitely part of it. Of course, Occupy was a big inspiration. Black Lives Matter for sure, because I think that really expanded the conversation to include intersectionality and how important it was to really look at it through the eyes of all people of all different colors, challenges, and bring it into one place and address it there. So yeah, that's some of those.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to add one more. Maybe like Buckminster Fuller's the the World Game.
Yeah.
I think that it did kind of function in some, but not at the scale he was imagining. But that was definitely one thing that was also very inspiring. The energy behind it. Hello. Yeah, thanks so much. That was a great question. Okay. Did you want to
Troy,
say something?
you're still muted. I don't know if it's your phone or not, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Technology issues.
Want to comment till he gets it on?
Well, I would just like to say I was taking a look at the
Feel free to
commonheritage.
try. I'll be checking.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been looking at the commonheritage.ml site, and it looks really promising. Gonna have to check that out in more detail.
Yeah, what part of it? Yeah, and that's just kind of like a temporary site, because now we're gonna incorporate it with the commons as well. So yeah, it just is kind of give like a really quick overview to hit like the points in an organ. All of this is constantly evolving, and the more people that come in, different ways, different views and skills, that will also change. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know if Troy, if you also maybe just write your comment or question. Darn, really heard from you. But if not, Robert, maybe you can, if you wanted to do a general discussion, would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. I'm Robert from the World Summit. Of course, we know each other for many, many years already, active in the field, and there's so much overlap with the Common Heritage World Summit and so many other similar projects. That's really wonderful. I really love what the Common Heritage stands for, that there is this overall post-capitalism vision. And what I really, I also like your apps, by the way. I think they're great. And what I really love about this approach is that you're focusing on the post-capitalism groups, the money-free groups. And as one of the sectors, as an alternative economy of the 12 sectors, because that's what, as you already know, the World Summit is also looking into how all these 12 sectors of society are connected with each other and how they affect each other. So I think that's very positive. I also, and it goes against my nature a little bit, I also want to be a little bit critical in the sense of that lately we noticed there are some frustrations between change makers, or that they are expressing frustrations because although we all have beautiful and wonderful projects going on, we still sense, and our experience with the World Summit is also that everybody in particularly loves to drive their own project, but there is still not yet this global consciousness or this level of consciousness that we actually need to work together within all the alternative and the active groups if we want to make this critical mass visible, which is a great step because when you make it visible, you can really see what you can work with. Then I think there's a lot of work to do. I think the World Summit connects this with the 3 pillars of activism. And one of them is the protest groups that you refer to, which are awesome. Things are going very well with Greta Thunberg and Extinction Rebellion and the French Yellow Vest and so many more. So that's great. Also, the World Summit recently decided to acknowledge that the best model that we have now, the best alternative, according to life affirming criteria, I will keep it short, is an open access economy or / an RBE economy or a free trade economy. So that's really great. But I think we sense in the area, and that's the other pillar of consciousness, level of consciousness, there's still some work to do. And I want to ask, and I think that this is also probably the reason why you started with the Common Heritage, to see how we can align this sector and use it as an example, as a blueprint for the other sectors to organize. So that's my input for now. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Robert. Yeah, those are definitely a few points, like the consciousness and raising that up, but also, and at the same time that has to do with working together. Right now, I would like to see like the first tier, the people that are already arrived to the mission, as you so well put it, life affirming system, monetary economy, and because we already share that major vision, I think there's a lot of opportunity to work together and be that example. And I'd love to see that with the volunteers and the members of each group, the lines start to get blurred as we start presenting the projects in a different way and through the common site, focusing more on projects and tasks instead of the organization. I feel like that, like, it's just the same thing with creating a system, is creating the infrastructure that already invites those sort of behaviors. And something that we're doing with the commons is that the way that we're setting it up and the vocabulary, the words we're using, all of that is inviting more more working together really across all those organizations. And as well, I think is like the big part is when we find each other, we can also help each other. We can get the resources that those people need. Those people can also feel like they're part of a tribe. They're part of a community, which is very, very important to create this feeling of community so that they can leave their old communities, their old beliefs, and adopt somewhere else because they know that they feel safe. There's people there that can support them and help them, and that they're not alone. Very clearly visible right now. And so I think it's another huge part of it. And then they'll be able to have the space and the time to grow and to work on themselves at the same time as we're furthering the cause and getting more people on board.
Okay, thank you.
And Troy, maybe okay, I'm just gonna
I'll leave some space for others to step in.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It's very late here, so I'm not sure how coherent I will be, but what I love, and just you very briefly flashed some concepts there that really seem awesome, but I think most importantly is your sense of that we can do this now, your sense of possibility. And there's some very prominent people within the RBE movement that are still advocating that this isn't going to happen for another 50 years. And we don't have 50 years. We have to start doing this now. and we can do it now. And so that's what I'm seeing in your material, in your. I haven't really checked out the Common Heritage website yet, but I get the gist of it. And so this notion that we can really start doing this stuff now, the transition, and others like Richard Osmondson of the Money Free Party in New Zealand, he gets that, and he's a strong advocate that this can happen by 2020, and I am as well, and I'm sensing that you are. If we think this is possible, then it becomes possible, and it becomes the only option, the only sensible thing for us to do as a species. So as the world is collapsing, the systems are collapsing around us, what once seems radical becomes practical, and that's where I think we're getting now. And the World Summit for 2 years has been holding an open, neutral position to try to unify groups around the world. But we've developed certain platforms and processes where we can start arriving at, to use Jacques Fresco's words, the best solutions, the most life-affirming solutions to move forward with. And we are arriving at that the open access economy is that. And so we are actually taking a stronger stand now where we can advocate that. To the contrary of capitalism or communism or any other isms that are inherently rivalrous win-lose systems. So we are taking a stronger stance now and coming out and advocating for an open access economy. And if we, as the money-free movements, or post-monetary movements, or RB groups, or whatever you want to call it, if we can come together in a common, unified language and realize our power, if we come together and unify as one, then we can start reaching the mainstream and start putting forth an actual sensible transition strategy. And that's what Robert and I are working on, and some of the other World Summit core members are working on now, is an actual transition plan or document. It seems like that's what you're doing as well. It's beautiful. So there are things we can start doing, and what Robert's referred to as day one, there are things we can start doing now that will move us towards that post-monetary future that is our only choice. So anyway, I'll stop there, but great work, and it's very late from Thailand, so thank you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like this is the level of urgency, and this is how we've been responding so far. And what that means, our days are routine. This is like what that demands. In order for us to respond at the appropriate level of urgency, our lives will look completely different. So you'll know by the way that your routine is if you're rising up to the, like, our lives, we just can't continue as always quoted, business as usual. Like this is a call. Like we will, there's a chance that all of this could slip through the cracks and we might not literally realize it until it's too late. There's nothing else. There's nobody else. It's just us. Like, and beyond that, literally everybody in this room, like, we are the pioneers of that. So if we do not take rise to that occasion, like, this is not going to go anywhere, and it's nobody else's fault but ourselves, like, individually. So we are like that first wave. Then, you know, and it might be a little bit difficult for us at the beginning, but then as it gets more adopted, we'll be able to work more horizontally and have a more equal balance. But that sense of responsibility is very, and I think we're so fortunate to even have a solution, to even have anything that we can even like try to put in place, because it could be possible that we might be having this this possible risk of extinction and no solutions whatsoever. So I'm in a total position of I'm so grateful and full gratitude and celebration that we have this opportunity. I think all of us can feel a sort of a sense of sadness at times that it's not being realized, and we're so happy that it's available in there and it's not being seen, and that's one little part of the grief we carry, what could be possible, and so. Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is hi. How you doing? This is Danny from Boston, Mass.
Microphone.
Am I on?
Microphone.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we hear you loud.
So I'll try to be really brief. I had three kind of
But then
points I
we
wanted to
stopped.
touch upon. One is so one some more questions and some more points. One is I really like the building of the infrastructure with the global map. And another component that I thought might be useful is we've all mentioned different organizations that are part of this money-free, post-monetary community. And I think, you know, over the years we've noticed that there's been just different types of strategies and personalities that have arisen where they're not all connecting, they're not all sharing the resources. I think it's like a, you know, very monetary type of mindset that we have of like ownership and you know, just kind of proprietary information. So like I always use the example, especially in like say a pharmaceutical industry, you know, everyone thinks that competition is driving this innovation, but I always try to imagine what would happen if all these companies pooled their resources and pooled their technology. So I was wondering if there was a place on the website where we could kind of list I guess, you know, partner organizations, set up ambassadorships to kind of, you know, understand where the commonalities are, understand and try to help them work through, you know, whatever is, you know, causing a clash between these partnerships so that we can work together as organizations, but also bring out individuals that are more apt to work together from these certain organizations. The second part is, like I said, this infrastructure, this technological app and these global map. I think that these are really important, tangible, and that's not my forte. You know, I work here in Boston, and I think my particular strength is being able to go in between different organizations, find out, you know, what the commonalities are, like work on those so that we can all work together. And then so those are two of my points. One is to build the tangible infrastructure that's needed. And then I guess my third question, and we don't have to answer it now, but maybe have input on the website, is what's working in the local community, or what should be our priorities when we're transitioning? So is it time banks? Is it tool libraries? What kind of transitional tools do we have, and what's the impact that it's having, and where should we focus on local levels on priorities to kind of let people see that competition, cooperation is working better than competition?
Right. Thanks so much. So maybe I'll start from the second point. There's a point of view that or a place that you're coming from that I'm trying to understand. So for the second point about organizing like with prior like in a closed nature with proprietary information and things like that, are you talking within the post-monetary movement or just within like the larger economy?
Yeah, I'm talking about within the post-monetary movement, a lot of different organizations that have been mentioned here today. Money Free Party, or I don't want to name them. I don't want to like add to the like this type of divisiveness. And I don't know what the I'm not trying to guess at what the factors are, the contributing factors. Some people might think that if you focus energy in one place, you're drawing energy away from people that might feel that their idea is better. But what I'd like to do is kind of have a system where we track people that are on the same type of page, and then help them foster the relationships together by just more information, more communication, finding out different ways, because I think this is going to be another part of the post-monetary world as well, is actually when people have different ideas to which ones are going to rise to the top. I know it's going to be based on like science and what can be provable, but that's just because scientists disagree on things a lot too. So it's how do we get these organizations that have the same basic principles to kind of work together on what the strategies and what the implementations are.
Yeah, great question. So how I respond to that is that we definitely need a new standard for post-monetary for organizations and even outside in the economy. We need to really be able to recognize and see who's down for the cause, who's like living by these values and promoting cooperation, transparency, and open source. And TROM has done a really great job by creating that standard, which is called trade free. And so it's sort of like how you see like GMO free and organic, that sort of label and things. And so then we'll be able to more easily recognize it. So if you go on a project for Common Heritage, we aim to be open source, decentralized, and with information being accessible and shared free. So we would be able to have and we would make sure that we're doing things according to the and we would be able to have that label on there, which is interesting. It's just a handprint of anybody's handprint, and we can make it as unique, but it's just like that's the symbol of it. And so, but that will also bring up to question like other organizations, the movement that will not be able to go to those standards, and at least that will be that conversation will happen about why they're not meeting that. And yeah, so there's that part, and it could also works really well in the general market system, be able to recognize that and to see even like community cooperation. Like the reason why trade free is much better than saying money and just like bartering or anything like that is because it really limits any sort of like coercive and just like kind of like hidden sort of trades that we might not see that are beyond money. There's a lot of other that could happen beyond just like trading for another or trading money. And right now it's like we're in the information age, the data age, and so there's so many hidden things. So I think it's really clear to set those standards up. And yeah, and I think another organization that's doing a really great job of that is Free Worlder, and they're talking about like let's just start sharing now. Let's start cooperating. A system set in place to do that, and we definitely support that. And on the Common site, we'll have a link so that people can post things for free, free things, free services, and yeah, so that can be done that way. So I just definitely don't think like that's where it ends. That's just like a small component of it, and so I really want to make that clear as well. It's like it doesn't just end Like I was really big in the eco village movement, and it was just like, you know, it's just about making my little community sustainable and good, and then we'll be a model. But you know, it's just we have to keep working from all directions because we really don't have the time, and for things to evolve slowly and naturally and by example, we have to create a larger global framework. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
This is John,
Okay, so any other
Abby again.
comments?
I'm realizing that there is a lot more that's already established and set up here than I had realized. So I apologize if I'm asking really basic questions. But it sounds like a really core thing is this idea of post-monetary, trade-free. So is the idea here to base the economy on a gift basis rather than
John?
exchanging one thing for another?
I don't know if can anybody else hear them? Danny, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear John.
So did anybody hear my question?
Um,
Can anybody answer that?
I heard your question. I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Yeah.
I heard you both. I think it's only Erica that can't hear.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, is anyone else not able to hear Erica very loudly? I don't know if that's just on my end.
Yeah, she's got connectivity issues.
Okay.
And she's been very soft.
Nathaniel, why don't you answer John's question?
Sorry, John, could you repeat that?
Sure. I'm trying to make sure I understand these terms post-monetary and trade-free. Is the idea to base the economy around that things move around on a gift basis primarily, and not, you know, this for that, trade this for that, exchange this for that, whether it's money or not. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, that's the basis for what a post-monetary trade-free system would be, is that things are just created, and then whoever has, you know, the need for it can take it. A lot of it has to do with creating abundance deliberately, as
Right.
opposed to creating scarcity, which is how things operate now.
Yeah.
And especially with Trom specifically, because that's what Erica mentioned. What they're doing is a lot of software stuff, and software, you know, can be infinitely replicated and distributed. So it's really easy to make that trade free if that's the intention.
Right. We can change copyright law pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all social constructs, right, that don't exist in reality, that can really be changed easily.
Well, except for all of the people who might object. But yes.
Right. It's a consciousness. It's a revolution of the mind. But
yes, and I get the focus on you attract enough people to do it in a way that it works, and everybody can see it works, and it becomes an attractive thing, which should help a lot with the people who are resisting.
Yeah, and we're already moving towards that with like Jeremy Rifkin talks about the zero marginal cost society, or the open source movement, etc. And with automation and technology, we can see how we are moving towards a post scarcity world if we choose to accept it.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of groups out there, talking about all the same things, without the post-trade part. I think that's a big hump for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think finding ways to see this as part of that larger movement that isn't quite over that hump, the maybe concentric circles of larger movements, because there's so many people working on these things in very good faith, and they just, any particular group may or may not be over one or more of the, there's really several humps to get over. The idea of abundance versus scarcity, the idea of gifting, centering on gifting rather than on trade. I have a list somewhere, I'm probably a bunch of you do, of like, what are the core, shifts in thinking. Oh, power with versus power over. Mary Parker Follett's thing, or Starhawk also uses that a lot. So I think a lot about these paradigm shifts, the chunks of the paradigm shift, because there's a kind of bunch, there's several yeah, a bunch. Anyway, I've talked a bunch. Thank you for answering my questions.
Not sure if Erica is still here.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I did. My page did get frozen up a bit, so I only heard about half of that conversation. But what came to mind was Paul Hawkins' work and really trying to show that there is this larger movement that's hidden called the Blessed Unrest, and that's just like a group of organizations, individuals, even companies that are all really working together for a better world. A better world is open to interpretation, and we're at a time where we need to really clarify and try to have a more vision of that. But yeah, it's really inspiring and beautiful to see that that's already happening for sure. Any other topics you wanted to touch on?
Go ahead, John. I think John raised his hand.
Oh, nice. He said his next study circle is reading Blessed Unrest. Nice. So yeah, I think like study circles, this isn't exactly a study circle. We're not gonna circle jerk about all the things that we love about post-monetary economy. Like we could all go on, and I love these conversations and everything, but I think the main basis and the ending of this whole conversation really has to be pretty blunt. Like if everybody in this room does it all like very purposefully and intentionally like work together with the goals and described on this, like Common Heritage will clearly not continue because it needs people to do that. It can't just exist as this like phantom website. People. So I just kind of laid out a possibility, but it's up to all of you if you want to pick that up or not. But for me personally, I would like to know, because then, like I said, I can't just host this phantom organization and with all these tools and these ideas, because we don't have time. Like I can't just sit. So either we pick it up right now, or maybe it can be picked up at a later time. But to know what I can do too, so I can be involved in more direct action and trying to slow down the machine. And so yeah, that's I'd like to like bluntly put it, like who's going to participate and who's going to actually be responsible for helping move this forward.
I totally support you, Erica, and I think the time for discussion and theorizing is past us. So people that are not familiar with the concepts of a money-free world or a resource-based economy or an open access economy or a gift economy will need to at some point wrap their heads around the notion that has been our economic system for over 95% of human existence. And so we can do this. We just need to scale it up. And so again, I applaud you on your sense of possibility, your sense of let's do it now. It's time. We don't have 50 years. We don't have 10 years. We don't have 5 years. Let's move forward, and it's very possible. So I'm committed to work with you, and the World Summit is committed to work with you in whatever capacity. If we can unify all the post-monetary groups, then that's what needs to happen next. Thank you.
Wonderful, and exactly that, like we made a huge feat. I feel like by having more than 14 organizations already agree on a common thing, like even that in itself is huge.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, those are just figureheads. What's really the power behind them are their supporters. Their supporters haven't jumped onto that as well, to be like, the organization's like, yeah, this is it. Let's get more of this. Let's see how many people agree to this. Let's get signatures. Let's do ours. But the volunteers and the yeah, the people under those organizations also need to support and step up to do that.
Well, the thing is, there are mainstream thought leaders who are very powerful in terms of the followers that they have that believe in this, that we have to evolve beyond money, but they are not at a point yet where they can come out and say it to their followers. So I'm convinced that there are just probably, a lot of people, millions of people that have arrived at this, but are not willing to come out. So if we come together and unify and show that strength, then we convince each
Show
other
the
that we're
numbers.
not
Show
crazy.
the numbers.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
convince each other that we're not crazy. This is the new paradigm.
If one person believes in this, it's just a hallucination. 2, 3, 4 is a reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Dana, I think raised.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Would you like to repeat what you wrote? I missed that.
Oh, I seconded what Danny said in the chat about creating a network of organizations and individuals who are already on board, and then cultivating those relationships, and conversations. And I lied. Did you get that? It looked like I lost you in the middle of it.
I heard all of it.
Okay. But yeah, the question that's been on my mind the whole time has been something similar to what Danny just said. And it's like, so if I'm on board, like what's next? What does that look like practically speaking? Like if I have a certain set of skills that I can offer, but I have no practical way to find a project that I can be working on towards this cause, and I think everyone has that same issue.
A bit different. I'm not asking people to build an open resource-based economy. I'm not asking people, individuals, even to create intentional communities. Literally, it's a very clear call to action that we need a mass amount of surveyors. You see people go out for causes and be like, okay, save the rainforest. Like that's because like we said, it's a very simple way of just showing the numbers that's visible, and then we can do the work once we have the numbers with the resources, the financial resources, with the attention, and with those people that are whose expertise is relatable to that, so it's really good because it's I understand time difficult for everybody right now, energy and money to be spending on trying to figure out how to get ourselves sustainable, our communities, and to do all of that. But it's just very simple. It's just like we all have a common goal to hit critical mass. Do whatever you're inspired to do to get to that. Like follow your bliss, follow whatever. If you're an artist, express that vision. If you're a writer, write about it, and to your own community, to your own specific niche and your own voice to come to this understanding. And really not would it's not even convincing anybody. The first tier, like I said, um I'll just back up real quick. I was with like a United Earth, which was a much general organization, similar to like how World Summit was at the beginning, just very general. It's like, let's unite all of the illicit unrest, right? But through that experience, I realized we need to really, we had this like kind of covert result that we wanted, but we would never express it at United Earth. We're just like, we have to be neutral. We have this. Okay, that it was just way too vague to really move forward. So it's like, okay, now let's get really specific of the world that we want, the system that we want, and so we need to start with the people closest to us. So I'm not even talking about like convincing anybody just yet. I think the numbers might be surprisingly high once we really get out there and extensively have a network out there to measure, to get those signatures in, so that you just see who's already there. So let's just start with that question, like everybody that you know that already wants monetary economy, get their signatures so that we know that they're. And then once we've exhausted all those measures, then with that support, now we have more credibility with those numbers, then we can reach out to the next layer. So yeah. What do you think about that, Dana? I'm curious because from that very specific question, I'd really like to see how you understood that.
I'm not sure I share your faith in collecting signatures, and I mean, I think that that's a nice thing to do, but I don't think we necessarily need a lot of signature validation to start like congealing and taking actions and doing like guerrilla marketing and sharing flyers, that kind of thing.
But so when you guerrilla market and you share flyers, which I have done specifically for the post-monetary economy, like before even the pledge. So I would literally create, I was advocating for a resource-based economy. I would create these flyers and be like, hey, this is why the system is so great. Then I'd literally go out on the street. I've had more than 1,000 business cards, pamphlets, all of those books even. And I would talk to somebody and I'd say, hey, check out this system. And after an extensive conversation, sometimes they would say, like, they would arrive at the same conclusion, like, yeah, that is good. Yeah, I support that. Okay, now what? I would tell them, oh, go tell other people. Okay, I will. How there was no way that I could harness that agreement, that power, and just something so powerful that just happened, like a light switch went off. Like it's so hard to see, and also at the end of handing out those thousands, I'm sitting there like, I'm not sure what I accomplished. I changed some people's minds, but I don't really see it. And after time goes by, I don't see what they did, and I can't really track that. And at this end, beyond that, I can't connect with them again. And I can't work with them. Even if I exchange information, which is the same thing as a signature, we're exchanging information. I still want to make sure, hey, are we in agreement to this specific thing? Because their understanding might be completely different than what we just talked about. So that's why I think it's really important to be concise and very specific about what sort of system and the intent to transition, and that they will continue to volunteer their time after transition, after there's no money being used. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I totally agree with you about that, and like I think that comes down to having enough organization and centralization of a message, so that we're all on the same page and you'll have the same kind of core ethic that we're committed to upholding. but I think, I don't know, every time I just sign something, and I think the step that you said you were missing after those conversations with people is the what next, what after the signature. Like, I could do something right now if I could connect to the right people. So how can we give everybody that next step, like instantly, right after the flyer? There's like a website or something that is bite-sized and tangible that can direct people to right where they can take their next step.
Yeah.
And continuous
that's
steps.
just- right. This is a timeline for that. So you can't think of the signature, which is just one. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you can't, you're right here. You're just talking about the pledge, you know. So I'm like, I'm not just saying just the pledge. There's a whole other 9 things to do here, you know. So the second one is the common site. So we want those people to build community with like-minded people. So here's the place to do that, which is very important as well to keep those connections alive, and for them to be able to contact and organize future initiatives locally and all of that. This is the part to answer your question, and it's activating local groups and committing and doing acts of inspiration. So right here, small and large acts of inspiration. So we need to represent these solutions. That means with and go to all the rallies, the demonstrations, all of that. Be a part of holding back the destruction. Active, like go if you if you want to, you know, like up in North California, there's huge. Oh, I just forgot the name for some reason. Humbug forests and stuff. Like, go to those protests, but it's like, yes, we want to protect the earth from further destruction, but also like, please hurry up, everybody. Agree to transition so that we can really stop the machines at the core. So I can't say particularly what every one person can do, but we perform massive acts of creative resistance, and we share the solution through our own voice. So you still need to create to inspire and to share this vision. So to answer your questions, like, okay, what's next? Make it happen through your own inspiration, through your own creativity. Here's the community, here's the people that can support you. Start your own local group, get more signatures, figure out a way to get more signatures. Still go to the protests, rallies, go to conference centers, have your booths, like activate, you know, like with this common purpose. Like, it's not one or the other. Keep doing that, but now you have something that you're garnering the strength of those agreements. So do you feel
Sorry,
like
Erica,
that's like
can
a
I add to that?
satisfactory answer when somebody says, okay, I signed the pledge, what now?
Yeah, I guess that doesn't sound like much of a change to what I've been doing, and I don't know that other people would know. Like, I'm very clear about what I feel inspired to do, but I know most people have no idea.
Dana, can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear me?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
can
hear
see
me?
it.
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
Seems like I'm going to stop my camera to improve the connection. Dana, can you repeat that? Because I didn't catch it.
Honestly, could someone else repeat it? Because I just forgot what I just said.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead, Troy.
Actually, Robert, I would like you to respond because what we've been talking about at the World Summit in answer to her question is what can people do? And this dovetails off of what Erica just said. There's still important action that needs to take place on the local level, and that's what we refer to as the three pillars of activism. And so, Robert, would you like to talk about the three pillars of activism? Because it's all of it. It's doing what we're currently doing, but it's more. It's shifts in consciousness as well as systems change. Robert?
Yeah, I would love to share the image with you guys, but I'm not sure how it works within Jitsi. So,
In the lower left corner.
In the left corner. Oh, okay, that should work. Let's see if I can put this on.
While you're bringing that up, Dana, I know I cut out my answer.
I forgot what my original answer was.
I think he's basically saying, we need to create something that the average person can just click into and then they know what to do. She's comfortable with the activism that she's doing now, and that it's, Erica, you were talking about, each person has to find their own sense of activism and what.
Yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Or not?
Not yet.
Don't seem to have. Yeah, I cannot.
I see you, but not your screen.
No. If I click on the share button, it doesn't seem to work. To share it. Anyhow, I can try to put it in words. I think what Troy was saying is like where the World Summit is now, using your energy where you feel it works best. So a half year ago, we decided to work on a TEDx talk because we want to reach a broader public. And Colin Turner recently did one in Galway in Ireland about an open source economy. And I think the World Summit wants to mention it more, or a post-capitalism model. We will be coming up in a magazine next month. Will be published with an article about it. There is a book coming up that will be published in September from another group, and also we will bring the topic there. So this is where our energy is at the moment. And what we realized.
For example, Robert, real quick for the TEDx, that's an example. Yeah. So because you're saying, okay, well, this is how we're going to take it. Like we'll send the, but we're going to take it further, and this is how we're going to do it. So would you be willing at the TEDx conference to have a booth with more information about a post-monetary economy and a place for people to make the pledge to the Common Heritage Pledge on there and see how many people have agreed after watching your presentation?
Well, yes, I think every project that is pointing towards the best model that we have now available will be good to mention. So that's one thing. And of course, there are many ways to bring things to light. And for us, I think it's a good step. And so, yeah, that's one thing. Maybe Troy wants to add something to that, but I feel that should.
You mentioned 3 pillars.
Yeah. The 3 pillars. Yeah. Well, there are 3 pillars of activism of Joanna Macy, and it sort of explains that when you will want to create a paradigm shift, that you need to be active in 3 different sections of these the 3 different pillars. of activism, and they have to work together. Now, what we've seen that a lot of protest groups, they are in one of the pillars active, and that's holding actions. And they're doing great work. We just talked about it before. Extinction Rebellion is doing it, the Yellow Vest movement, also Greta Thunberg with a school strike. So that's sort of saying to the world, we don't take it anymore, and things cannot continue like this. And so they're keeping things from getting worse, and they are sort of confronting symptoms. So that's one pillar. I think the other pillar is the shifts in consciousness. And what I just mentioned, that doing presentation in TEDx talks and gathering all kinds of alternative ideas is helpful to create more awareness what is possible. And a lot of things are going on, but we still feel that there's a lot of work needs to be done there. The third pillar are new systems, and those are, for instance, what we talked about today, a post-capitalism system. And I think there are many, many more conceptual ideas beside what we know about socialism and capitalism, democracy and communism. There are many, many more ideas, and we have to funnel them in. That's what the World Summit also is about. So we can get to this new operating system, this open access economy. And these three pillars have to work in symbiosis together. And as long as we do not acknowledge that part, and we keep on doing them separately, this paradigm shift probably won't happen very soon. There are different thoughts about it, whether it will happen fast or can happen fast, or it will take 50 years. The fact is nobody knows, but we all know that the ground for it, the groundwork is being done now, and that we're ready for it. And so that's on a positive side note.
Thank you for that contribution, and I agree.
Yeah, I can share with you. We recently completed a presentation, and that's about the 3 pillars of activism. What's next? So, and that sort of explains the next steps.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then read with like activating local groups that also had the 4 pillars, I guess. But I think maybe it would all just really come down to the 3. But the next one was just share the good news, like tell other people, and of course be the and small and large acts of inspiration, and then all working towards this larger timeline of a systemic shift. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd like to I understand Dana's frustration is that we have the ability to do things on a local level individually, but then how do we do it collectively? How do we, and I also understand the decentralized autonomous individual part of things where we have to create in our own local subsets. But then we want to be able to have a central place to bring those celebrations back, those, you know, the data back, the successes back, the get critique, get support. One thing that I don't think this has to be a broader discussion right now, but one thing that I've been thinking about is instead of doing it on a local level, but creating a locality where people of like mind can contribute to. So for instance, you know, I want to work in a contribution sharing open source system, but in our current reality, it's not always feasible. Like we have people on here from Thailand, you know, the other side of the hemisphere. But if say I want to, you know, cook John a meal this week, you know, I won't be able to do that. Maybe John would want to babysit for me. I'm not able to do that in this current, you know, in this current system. I don't have enough people in my network to be able to contribute into each other so that all our basic needs are met. So I've been thinking for a long time about a central location where people can, converge, set up infrastructure, relocate to. And it doesn't necessarily take everybody from around the world relocating to, but just understanding the brand and the messaging. And this is a movement that when things come out of this place, whether it's be a technological hub, an education hub, a self-sustainability hub, a eco-friendly hub, that this place is recognized and supported for being a community. My initial thought was to do it in Detroit for many different reasons. I don't think we have to go into like where would be the ideal location now. But some of the ideas is that they had 1.5 million people. Now they have less than half of that. The infrastructure is still there. It's affordable. If I couldn't do this with people in Boston, nobody that has a like mind of mine would actually be able to afford to live in this city. So there's a lot of different factors to take into account. But I think one of the things is that we're spread so far over the world, and with technology and communication, that's great. But to actually be able to physically support one another and contribute and time bank and do this like-minded thing, we either have to rebuild that with our neighbors and the people we have, or we can shift that design. I know I'm not the first one to do it. I know there's little communities or things like that. They seem to be in like rural. I'd rather do it in an urban setting where all this infrastructure, where transportation, where food hubs, where things like that can be incorporated. So that's like a project that I'm working on, is to create a central location where people can migrate to or support collectively. But I think that might be a strategy, that we could start talking about, because I think one of our limits is not being able to physically support and contribute each other, and relying on building up a network of like-minded people when we already have like-minded people spread out so diversely across the globe. Thank you.
Yes, all of that. Exactly.
Is anybody still around?
I mean,
Yes.
and
I
I'll
was,
just
I
add one
was
more
muted.
point. I'll just add one more point to that locality issue, is that then we can actually have an example of how how all these ideas actually work in real time. So I think that would actually be another component that would help build the movement along, is if we actually had an example of this, of people of like mind working together, that would help transform people's mind, because people really want to see something tangible.
So, heard of the Eco Village Network, Intentional Communities?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand that that's like an ongoing effort, and there's lots of sources and ways to do that, and there's thousands of active communities, and there's probably initiatives close to you as well, right? So yeah, it's definitely a comment. Like I think it's something that we've all thought about, and it's a part of this whole movement for sure. But now where is the place of that within the movement? And really, I think like I don't know which one's a byproduct of what. It could start either through an intentional community, or it could also come through gathering together for a common cause that works out from. So for example, if we're all working towards a common initiative and a common goal, we'll see that we need to see who else around our area thinks like that, right? And through those connections, we start building community, we start building trust, we start taking care of each other. That's why the Activist Mutual Aid Network is a really important part, which will eventually be go into living, working communities, villages, towns. And but at the same time, so there's this huge eco village network, and they're all about being the model. And I personally was one of the co-founders of my local eco village initiative for 4 years. I worked on it, and it didn't have, there's something missing that really held all of those communities together for a common goal. And really, when you look at the numbers for communities as well, it takes about 10 years for a community to be mature in order for it to be a model. And we have a maybe just a couple only of what can be considered money-free communities and very cooperative in communities out there, but those models exist, and it's great to activate and to have your local communities, but it needs to be rooted into something else. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to plug to the larger net of purpose and movement. So I'm definitely in support of that, and that's why
Yes.
yeah, okay. So these are the things that we'd like to come out of. Have the social network, the comments, the pledge and the counter, a founder circle. So like options, we'd like to help facilitate a conversation between all of the founders of those organizations, which we have a group for. We'd like to activate a co-living working town. So people really, really into helping progress this timeline right here. And so we're all like intensively working on that day in, day out together. Then we'll have festivals and of course, like I really would love to have enough resources and support for Heritage to be able to really to give support and resources to all the different networks around the world. Like that's what I would love to happen, of course. So yeah. So yeah, that I think the question of like, what do I do next? Like, it's good to ask it, but like once you've been an organizer of multiple initiatives like this, like that happens a lot, and we tell people like, oh, we need you to do this and this, and people don't do it because they're not inspired to do that, or they don't have the skills, and there's so many different variables. So if you really want me to answer that question in not such a good way, I would be like, okay, go figure out who else are post-monetary economy supporters in your town, create a group, get their signatures, then go find more people, get their signatures, like build a network, start taking care of each other, and keep spreading that circle. Like that's what I would say, you know. So
Okay, thanks, Erica. I have to go soon, but
okay.
Thanks a lot for all your work and your energy. So you're doing great, and we will talk soon because I'm leaving for Malaga on Tuesday, and exciting things happening there with a online platform, a project, Mother Ark. So I'm sure we can talk soon.
Okay, wonderful.
Thanks, guys, for being here.
Robert, for your comments. It was great.
Bye bye.
So yeah, but I'm really glad to have these conversations because like more than anything, I don't, if you agree, or if you think it's a good idea, that's one thing, but I really want to like dissect the idea and see, is it a strong enough initiative to keep going? That's the big question. And that's what I'd like to be answered here in the next day or two with the poll. Is like, so really dig in, and any really big concerns that you have, you don't think it's going to work, how are we going to get over, and also try to think about solutions for those things as well. Like what can we come up with together to answer that?
This is John. The biggest thing comes up for me is I see a lot of value in collecting individual support. I imagine it would help a lot if you also put effort into getting more organizations on. I think there's a lot of organizations. I put a link in the thing to Cooperation Jackson. They might want to sign on. Our group, Cooperation Eugene, might want to sign on. And I'm wondering if there is anything organized, specifically about building the coalition, more organizations.
Yes, yes, there definitely is. So, like I said before, we're just barely starting with like the people closest to us.
Yeah.
So we'll keep expanding. So if they're like post-monetary economy supporters already, then like we'll reach out to them at this point,
Mhm.
and then when we're ready for like the second tier, then we will. So if I'm sharing my screen here, I have a list of. Let's see, I have almost 600. Can you see my?
No.
Connectivity issues.
Somebody said hit D.
It should be sharing now. How about now?
Hello, it's Kelly here. Hi, Erica.
Hey, hey, Kelly. Hello, hello.
I wasn't
Can
sure
you
if I was muted somehow.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah, I
I'm
think at
good.
the
I'm
beginning
good.
it mutes it. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen showing. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I
All right,
don't.
So
You might have to tap on Erica's icon on her
on the right.
on her
Okay.
avatar. Yeah.
I need to find it. I don't. Oh, there. Okay. I'm clicking on her icon, and I just see the guy with red hair.
It's below the guy with red hair.
Sure.
But you can describe it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll describe it. So I have a spreadsheet up here with 600 records of individuals, and they're all organized by in different ways. Like for example, we have like social architects and alchemists, which has a list of and their pictures of all of the just key people in the movement that have been talking about creating a better world, but they're not necessarily post-monetary economy activists.
Right.
There might be some sort of reformists and stuff like that. So we've got all of their contact information, and as well as just even for the contacts, more than probably 1,000 altogether with the other staff. So that I'm waiting to reach out to those particular people, authors and people that have a larger audience. And so I'm waiting to, because we need to be cohesive, a strong core team before we can build out. And then here's a list of money-free organizations, but we also have, which is I believe about like 20 or 25. And so I have can anybody else see it?
I can see all the organizations up there.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I have like the pictures and all the focus and the about mission website. So I've done an extensive amount of work, really outlining and or how do I say, like just setting up the directory, I guess. So that's just of money-free organizations. And I have one for new paradigm organizations. Those focus on creating a new world. I have 273 organizations with contacts and information and where
Nice.
their focus.
Mm-hmm.
Their focus is on that. So, and then on top of that, I have 87 records, which is a very small records of all of the Facebook groups, New Paradigm Facebook groups, and which include organizations as well. So,
is all this on the website somewhere?
No, it's on a spreadsheet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is like personal information, but there's some public views. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So are so you said there is a public view, or there is somewhere some of this is available?
I can get the link. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, of course we're going to be reaching out to the networks, especially like in my what I will like to be focusing on if this initiative moves forward, local activist groups like the women's shelters, the Amnesty International, all of the homeless shelters, like everything, like all of the Black Lives Movement, the LGBTQ, because all of these organizations are back the symptoms of this late stage capitalism that's collapsing.
Yeah.
You know, they're all like working to pick up the pieces, but there's something that's causing it, that common heritage which we'd like to address at the root. And so we'd really like to start having these conversations with them as well, more
Yeah.
public format as well. So, but yeah, this is like the first step that like we're
Cool.
still like.
Yeah. So how do I make sure that you reach out to Cooperation Eugene when you're ready to do that outreach?
Yeah, so I just added to the list the form that I can send. You can add however many people, and I believe that form's on the website to like submit a group. But then also like
Sorry,
I
which
like
which
that's the thing about like, oh, go ahead.
which website? Where do I go to do this?
I'll send you the link because it's
Okay.
it's a pages in. But that's a great question. It's like, how do you contact them? Do I speak their language? Do I know what they're doing? Am I in their locality? Do they trust me? No. You know, like it would be very intensive to really go down and speak to that specific audience. And that's the amazing part and the powerful thing about swarm organization and this kind of guerrilla volunteering is that it's like when we say, okay, now it's time to expand and contact people further outside, then we activate that and it's like, okay, everybody conversations, then that's something that we need you to do.
Yeah.
Like that's your part in the movement, is talking to your community and the connections that you have. And
Well, I'm already, we're already doing the work. I mean, some of us are starting a time bank and study circle and other things to become fertile soil to support more projects. I'm also the assistant station manager at a new community radio station in Eugene, which obviously could be a resource for these things. And there are a lot of new low power stations across the country because of successful grassroots movement in the past to win that. So in case you don't know about that already, that's a huge resource to tap into in a lot of localities. There will be a new station that would probably support this kind of stuff.
Wonderful. Yeah, exactly. I'd love to hear more about that. We'll talk then. But I think this question of like, oh, hey, I have this in my locality that does this. We're doing really great work concerning that. How the pledge can assist with helping understand and really their support for this common vision. Without it, it's very loose. Yeah, they kind of support, this beautiful world, but we don't really know what that means. Not strong enough to really help us.
Right.
Get
Having good, clear articulations, of our values and talking about them with each other to be, clear we're on the same page. All good.
Yeah. So now we have a tool that we can go to any local group and be like, hey, do you agree with this
Right.
pledge? Would you be willing to have a station sign on to this pledge and its members?
Yeah.
And so that will also help assist community and really getting down to the important issues.
Yeah. So I'll make sure to bring that to our next general meeting, and then what's the best way to sort of come back to you all with whatever comes from that.
So now how do we make sure that flow is happening? And that's through the comment site. So it's the social that you would have like a group for your location, and you can add your local people, and then you can also post on the larger page, just like Facebook,
Oh, I meant on a very, very basic level. Do I give someone a phone call or do I email? How do I?
For what in particular?
So I'm planning at the next general meeting of Cooperation Eugene to bring the pledge and say, here's this group, that's talking about the post-monetary aspect of things and trying to get a big, common pledge on it. What do we think of it? And I imagine there will be some kind of feedback. And it may be as simple as, yes, we want to sign on, but there may be some questions or thoughts. And so I just want to know, is there a main contact email or phone number, or how do you Yeah, how do you want to
Yeah,
be contacted?
I mean, it's just me and Ziad really like working like
Mhm.
closely with it. There's like a larger community of very knowledgeable people, which, you know, we invest in organizations to do with this. But yeah, I can be the contact. And then like, but I'm going to use your example to try to share the bigger vision of all these tools is all I'm doing. So for now, I would be the contact, but in the future, you would have like your own locations contact that you can refer to, you know, the local group between that.
Right.
So excuse me for that. Yeah. But yeah, on like a very specific to that meeting, like I don't really know if there will be a pledge existing, and that's why this meeting is here. So
Wait, I thought the pledge already existed. I thought I read it.
it does.
Okay.
Initiative, like you can, but like it needs a site to hold and the signatures and to be able to and stuff like that. So I don't know if the initiative will continue, will come out of this.
You don't know if the, sorry, say again.
Don't know if the project will continue in the next 2 days. It's all up to here and on the poll on Facebook. So we'll just we'll, I think take it day by day. And
Yeah.
if it does go through, then yeah, I'd be happy to like do like a live Q&A or something like that with and everything. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kelly, hello.
Hello.
No? Oh yeah. Hey.
Hey, sorry, yeah, I was just in the middle of chores and running around and stuff like that.
Alrighty. Did you want to share anything?
Oh, well, yeah, that pledge that I read before, that's yeah, I mean, like I don't see why somebody would not sign it. I mean, there's a lot of organizations trying to round people up, you know, but I think that all those people should be able to sign it. I don't think anyone has an excuse for not signing the Common Heritage Pledge.
Well.
Yeah, but I guess you know, what I do, I don't want to really promote what I do, but the niche, I guess you could say, what I'm in is that other organizations, like, you know, that we all appreciate, is that if somebody is working, you know, because obviously they have to work, they have to make money, they're working, and who knows where that effort is going. If somebody has a small business, they're working, they have their small business, but none of these transitional movements are working with labor, you know. So there's like the socialist parties and stuff like that, but greater organization means that it's a money thing. It's very much like a capitalist thing. And in my opinion, the definition of capitalism is any human relationship where there's trade, including money, obviously. So, so I wasn't really planning to talk about this, but yeah. So if people are putting their time into making money, they should be probably doing it with greater organization as opposed to just for themselves or whatever they're doing. I think that it's quite possible, if somebody has a small business or if they're working for somebody else, that last cap kind of applies to them, whereas they don't really fit into any other movement in that sense. You know, people are working. Still, people are working, they're spending their time making money. That's not going to change anytime soon. Well, I mean, like, obviously, it's a challenge to change that. I'm hoping that we don't see trade money system past 2050. That would be, you know, jumping out of the system extremely quickly is a little ambitious. So, and everybody, I'm not going to complain if somebody has thought that, you know, we can transition sooner. I'm still very supportive of that. but I don't think the last cap thing competes with any of the movements in any way, and actually can work with them even if they're separate as they are. I don't know if that made sense. I wasn't planning on talking, but that's where I'm coming from. And everybody in everything that I do with the last cap thing, they should have no excuse for not signing the Common Heritage Pledge either. So I don't see how it competes with anything, and so that's why one of the reasons why I think it's an extremely valid thing. But everybody in a greater
Well,
organization,
I've
last cap
definitely
style
shared my
is.
concerns with Last Cap, but yeah, we can't necessarily go, you know, we can't
I
have that
just think that
conversation.
I guess I kind of wanted to say that even if it doesn't matter what organization you're in, there's no excuse for not signing the Common Heritage Pledge, and I'm promoting it within my networks.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think there definitely could be a presence in the workforce, of course. It's just like any union, it could spread like in a union style, you know, and it could be like, hey, we're done working, like we're literally doing a job that can be automated in a second and free us. Like we all need to work and sign this for our liberation, for to work 15 hours a week, you know. So I could definitely see that mobilizing and work. I don't think that it's outside of that.
I don't know if it's choppy for anyone else, but I think I caught most of that. I think if people are in a union, they're doing it wrong, and they need to reconsider, because last cap style makes unions obsolete because they're redundant and a waste of time and money.
Could someone
Yeah, no,
explain what last cap means?
Yeah, it's a process. It's like a transition strategy out of um, you know, to something like resource-based economy, if not exactly resource-based economy. It's a 30-year strategy, and it's working in the system as the system is today. So as the system is today, we can have cooperatives where one of the things you can't do in last cap style greater organization is your entity. You have a profit entity that you work with, you own it, and so it's very much like Richard Wolff's thing, where if you're nobody can have two shares in the company. You know, the shares are not traded. If you're not active, your share is like void.
Okay, I think I can shortcut this a bit. So it's last capitalism. It's like last stage capitalism. Is that the?
Yeah, there's actually a process defined where last capping. There you can last cap an entity, and it's a little bit too much to talk about on this call. But
That's why I'm trying to cut it short. So that gives me a start. I just didn't know that the cap stood for capitalism. Thank you.
Yeah, it pretty much does.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Did we have somebody else that just came in? Tarlan, did you want to explain?
I'm sorry.
Tarlan, did you have anything you'd like to add? No.
Just waiting for Tarlan.
Yeah, I was just wanting to see if you had any comments.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna mute myself here.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, any should we about wrap it up, and like any last comments? I'd love to hear like any like after we kind of dove into some more detailed places, like from Dana, especially if I answered those questions and you think now, if you'd like to, and Danny.
I think I understand, and I'm still on board. I think we should continue.
All I got was I think I understand.
I think I understand, and I think I'm still on board, and I think that you should continue.
Okay, Thanks.
Yeah, I want to second that. I think that we can't measure success right now in like quantity, even quality. Just the fact, I think we just have to measure it in the fact in action that we're doing something. So I'd love to have these calls, repeated, maybe on a monthly basis. Even if all of us can't make it, just that they're happening. Even if we had 2 or 3 people. Just to keep bouncing ideas off of each other, keep the conversation moving forward. Like I said, I just think with this movement, we just have to measure success with actual action that we're taking as individuals and commitment that we're making on an individual basis. So I really appreciate this conversation and networking with all you different people, sharing ideas, learning about different concepts and things that are happening currently. And I definitely think this is something that we should keep going and hopefully it will grow, incorporate more ideas, more people, more transition. And then I also want to thank the people. A lot of what Erica presented, I know, is a culmination of work. So I just want to really, really thank you guys. Like anyone who has a spreadsheet or a file or, has made, meetings or phone calls or anything like that. Like just keep doing what we're doing and hopefully we'll, it'll all culminate. And I'm of the same feeling as everyone else that, this is possible. It's possible now. It doesn't have to be a future thing. But it's going to depend on us and the connections that we make and the transformations that we're able to foresee. So thank you.
Well
Right
said.
on. Yeah, for sure. And Danny, like how I'd like to see Common Heritage support you in particular, and what your calling is for to help build a community together there, is like I think it goes a long way just having like the resources, just like the designs for flyers, the banners, all of that, the shirts, all of that available, and like have a way to distribute that and get you with like the resources to support so that you can build like a group there, like even if it's just a few people, and help on that front as well. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
like it to be. Yeah, and then I just also wanted to comment, like like I cannot continue, like that's why I'm making this call, because like it would make no sense for me just to continue. Like we have to continue. Like if all of you are not contributing it as part of your activism, it will not continue. So it's all up to you. There's like it's nice to thumbs up, but that's not going to do anything, so I'll post this up on the page, and we'll do a poll, and the poll will be like specifically like, yeah, this is a cool idea, or and the one that will ensure that Common Heritage moves forward is, yes, I'll be an active participant. Like we'll probably just be like a core group of like 7 people or so, like working on how to expand that, helping each of us get our local place set together, etc. And we will also keep reevaluating, and so just like how I'm doing this right now, I'm like reevaluating, okay, was this a good thing to do? Let's check out the feedback about it. And the same thing I have like on the timeline as well. We have like our growth markers and milestones. So we have like the first part of it completed, but for like the 3 months is that I wanted to have a conference call, which we're doing right now. And out of that, in order to move on to like the next part of it, I wanted to have an active founder circle, an active team, and a vision package. Like make sure that like all of the copywriting and all of the internal stuff. That's for 3 months. And then in 6 months we reevaluate. We see if we've got the common site up, the site, and all of those points. And then if we do, then okay, let's continue. And then in the 7 months, then that's when we can really activate the pledges. So on the 7th month, in 1 month, we will reevaluate. Our goal will be to do 1,000 pledges. And if it's not, and if we're not meeting those goals, we really have to be like serious about it, because like we can't just be sitting around waiting like 1,000 pledges compared to 350 million. Like it really has to be you know, at a satisfactory rate, because we are in an emergency. So if it's not working, if it's not, if people are not, if it's not calling to people, then we will be able to see with the pledges, you know. So we really have to hear those feedbacks to our goals and keep reevaluating and all that. So I just wanted to make that clear as well, that it's just like a constant because we only have to shut, and that's something I'm sure about.
I couldn't hear the last bit of your sentence.
Oh. And because we just have this one shot to do, so we have to make sure that this is the right path, and the markers will help determine that. Alrighty. So are we ready to close up the call?
Yep. For me, I am.
Okay. Wonderful.
I really like
Well,
what you're doing,
make sure-
Erica.
Thanks, Molly, for your continued support. I appreciate you, and yeah, we're definitely all building on each other. And yeah, so I'll close up the call then, and if you could right after, I'll make the poll. I think it will be up in like about 10 minutes. So if you could vote in the poll, and then maybe tomorrow we'll up the poll and see how things went.
Thanks, Erica.
Alrighty. All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks for showing up. John and Dana, Dancia, Tarlan. Thanks so much.
Post the poll.
What's up?
Where will you post the poll?
On the events
Got it.
page.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Hey, Zia. You there? Hello? What happened to you?